Minister, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much for here, look, and I always have taken on board good suggestions from all sides of the House, whenever I deem to be good suggestions. The problem is sometimes that who is to be the arbiter of the good suggestion. So I have a very open mind in matters, as the Deputy knows. But just to answer the question that he's put to me today, might I outline that the proposals outlined in putting people first as the primary vehicle of making local government the primary vehicle of governance and public service at local level, I would have thought it would be a welcome development from the point of view of Deputy O'Cuiv, where we would have a democratic input at local level involved in economic, social and community development and delivering better services, good value for money and representing citizens and local communities effectively and in an accountable way. As part of the programme of reform of local government, the local community development committees are being established in all local authority areas. These committees, comprising public and private socio-economic interests, will have responsibility for the local and community development programmes on an area basis, including the new Social Inclusion and Community Action Programme, or SICAP. They will develop, coordinate and implement a coherent and integrated approach to local and community development than heretofore. And I know that he will welcome that because he started the process himself. In accordance with the Public Spending Code, best practice internationally and legal advice, and in order to ensure optimum delivery of service to clients, the SICAP is subject to a public procurement process. So the process is a competitive one that is open to local development companies, other not-for-profit community groups, commercial firms and national organisations such as the National Collective of Community-Based Women's Network that can provide the services to be tendered for to deliver the new programme. So on the contrary, I am not withdrawing funding. I am giving the opportunity for the SICAP programme to be tendered for all of these particular groups that I've just mentioned. And there's 2 stages to the process. Stage 1 is the process is currently underway, and at stage 2 of the process, the LCDCs will procure the programme locally. Applicants at stage 1 of the tendering process must demonstrate that they meet the criteria for the delivery of the services in the lots applied for, and joint applications are being encouraged, and organisations of varying sizes, for example, smaller organisations working in consortia with larger organisations, are invited to submit joint applications. Partner candidates have a role in the delivery and implementation of the programme, and all such partner candidates must be identified in the questionnaire, the qualification questionnaire, and a contracting arrangement may be required between the lead candidate and any partner candidates. So candidates may rely on the resources of other entities in order to establish the suitability requirements on condition that they can prove to the satisfaction of PUBL that they will have these resources at their disposal when necessary. So all proposals received will be assessed in accordance with the assessment criteria notified, and any contract or contracts will be awarded on the basis of bids received from qualifying applicants from stage 1. PUBL is assisting the Department and the LCDCs in the preparation of the tender documentation and the assessment criteria, which will form part of stage 2. The closing date for receipt of expressions of interest under stage 1 of the process is 12 noon on the 11th of July 2014. So I'm not withdrawing any funding, but putting the programme out to tender.
Thank you very much. Minister, you're putting the total programme out to tender. But the reality is, under the rules, it's not permitted for national organisations, and tenders must be submitted and can be only considered on a county-by-county basis, and only for the delivery of the programme in its entirety. So it is not possible for the National Collective of Women-Based Networks to tender for this programme, either on a national basis or to deliver women-specific programmes. This is not possible. And therefore it is disingenuous to say that the new system is the same system as the old system, except you're putting it out to tender. And I have to say that there is also a big question as to whether it was necessary to put this out to tender. You'll tell me you got legal advice, but the advice I have is that subsequent to that legal advice, that the European Union brought in a new regulation that said that social programmes did not have to go out to tender, and that the legal advice might be out of date, and I think that that issue itself should be revisited. But the simple fact of the matter is, you could have had a tender, a national tender, for certain programmes that are better delivered on a national basis. Now, you make a great play of the fact that you're localising everything. Now, you're the Minister of Uisce Éireann, who believed that it wasn't better to do it certain things, and I'm not arguing with you on this basis. I think you have to take it case by case. You argued cogently, as I would argue in terms of traveller programmes, women's programmes, islander programmes, that rather than doing them on an area-by-area basis and making the component part so weak as to have no say, that it would be much better to do certain things on a national basis. And therefore, I'm once again asking you to re-tender some national programmes, one for women, one for islanders, and one for travellers, because they are specific cohorts that need a national
Time has
programme.
expired, Deputy. Minister, you have 2 minutes to respond.
The man that started the process of cohesion and started the process of making sure that we had an area-based, efficient service and integrated delivery is actually against what I'm doing now at this stage. So I think, Deputy O'Cuiv, you have to make up your mind. What are you for and what are you against? What are you for? First of all, you have in your topical issue, the heading is that I'm withdrawing funding. I'm not withdrawing funding, so you're wrong. I'm putting it out to tender on the basis of competition law and no, hold on.
That interruption, Deputy.
SICAP for tender on the basis of legal advice, which you often had to agree with as well when you were a minister. That the AG, when they give legal advice, you didn't ignore it. You actually were of no other prospect of achieving anything unless you proceeded with on the basis of law. And there's competition law that we must adhere to. The National Collective of Community-Based Women's Networks is the umbrella organisation of the 17 community development projects which focus on disadvantaged women. It is possible, if they partner with others, to be able to tender for this process. It receives funding under my department, so we're not withdrawing funding under the LCDP programme, which you know. And I want to like to clarify that my department has not notified any of the 17 projects. I don't know where you're getting this misinformation, or indeed the NCCWN, of any intention to withdraw LCD funding from their organisations. So I say to you, Deputy O'Cuiv, tell your people that are on to you to ensure that they tender for the project. Enter into partnerships if they have to in order to do so, because the public procurement process for the new programme is a competitive process, it's legally sound, I'm obliged to do it, it's open to the local development companies, and get on with the job.
Thank you.